Hello and welcome back to the My First Marathon podcast, where we interview runners in all stages of their running careers about their first marathon experiences to prove to you that anyone can run a marathon. My name is Taylor, and today we're diving into Asher's journey, which began with an unplanned first run and quickly turned into signing up for the Philadelphia Marathon just a month later. What followed was more than just a crash course in training. Asher went from having no running background to proving he could do one of the hardest things imaginable. Crossing that finish line didn't just mean completing 26.2 miles. It meant leaving old doubts and past struggles behind and stepping into a new chapter of life. Running gave him a sense of possibility that he's now carrying forward as he trains for the Chicago Marathon. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Please welcome Asher. Asher, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really excited to break down the last, year and a half of running for you. This is all fairly new, fairly fresh in your mind. But first, just thank you for coming on. Excited to have you.
Yeah, so happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's start from the beginning. What has the last year and a half looked like? Or I guess if running or movement started before then, how did we make our way into this world?
Yeah, I didn't grow up at all with any organized sports. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, um, and it was a religious, like a private school. So there was just none at all, like no organized sports. I love sports, I love playing sports, but there was no organized sports, definitely no running. My running journey basically started last year in June. I went camping, and I came back after the weekend, and I went out to my backyard. I started pulling some weeds, and then a couple days later, all of a sudden, I started feeling extremely itchy. Turns out I was pulling out weeds that were poison ivy. It was just with my
Mm,
bare hands. I was just
oh,
pulling
the
it out.
worst.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And for about a month, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. It was just the worst experience. And I was trying to look for any possible remedy, any possible something that's going to help me.
Right.
And so I took anything that I could take. I got medications and steroids, corticosteroids and all that stuff. It was just miserable. So I decided to go out for a walk. I was walking with my wife and I said, "Hey, I think I'm just going to take off running." I was wearing my Nike basketball shoes. I didn't have no running shoes or anything like that.
Sure.
I just went for a mile. I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of like this." So the next day I went out for a mile and a half. And the next day I went out for 3 miles,
Yeah.
and I probably went too far too fast because I got shin splints. And I decided I really liked it. So about a month after that, I signed up for the Philadelphia Marathon.
Let's go. Full send.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. My sister had
Sure.
run the New York City Marathon 4 times. I'm like, if she could do it, so could I. But
Sure.
I didn't know that you have to train for, and you have to have a base. You have to have something before you even start training. I didn't know any of
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
so I didn't have a base of about a month of running. And I started training. So I started running in June, and I started training at the end of July. And it wasn't easy. I used an app, Runner.
hmm Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's all over the place. So it was unavoidable. I was like looking for, something to give me some guidance. So I used Runner. I didn't know anything. Like it didn't tell me like, oh, you're supposed to eat like this and you're supposed to, fuel and all that kind of stuff. I found that all out along the way, but it was like already too late. I was already way into the training by then. So there was a lot of speed work. I was not ready for that, but I did it. I got through it. I slowly got up there. I was feeling good, for the most part.
Yeah.
And then in October, I did a half marathon in the wine glass, in Corning, New York. That was like sort of like a B race. That was really nice. I felt terrible afterwards, and that should have been a warning sign. You're not supposed to feel like terrible after a half marathon.
Sure.
That's not
Sure.
really. It was just horrible. I was limping around. I was like, I don't know how I'm
Mm.
gonna finish this training.
Yeah. What do you think it was a fueling thing or like a body thing, like not having that base for that one?
It definitely was. You're totally
Yeah.
right. You hit it. The fueling was almost non-existent. I did not
hmm
fuel. I didn't take it seriously. I heard about the fueling, but I didn't really take it
Yeah.
seriously. I thought, hey, I'm relatively young. I mean, I'm 43 now, so I'm an adult onset runner. So, I especially, have to fuel. My youth is not gonna, it's not gonna all of a sudden just kick in,
Sure,
because I'm not gonna
sure.
start running. Yeah, I felt horrible afterwards. I had to recover from that, but I kept on training. I did, 15-mile long. My long runs were getting longer, 15-mile long runs. I did a 17-mile long run, and that's when I really, it hit me. The next day I went out for a recovery run. I got after a mile, I had the pain on the outside of the knee, and I think every runner knows exactly what that is. That is the dreaded IT band syndrome. I got it diagnosed by a PT, and yeah, it basically that shut me down.
Yeah.
That was towards the end. That was already, this was in November, the beginning of November, and the marathon was in November 24th. So I basically
Mm,
had to I ran like very sporadically. Um, I did not do any strength training, and that was pretty much it. That took me up until the marathon, and I didn't run very much. So it was not great. It was very, very painful.
yeah. IT
Um,
band stuff is just miserable. It's like it's one of those nagging injuries that, completely takes you out for the most part, but even when you can run, it's extremely uncomfortable to run through. So it's just one of those like nagging injuries that I know it takes a lot of runners out for sure.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
Well, cool. Well, I guess before we get to marathon day, I wanted to ask about you said something like at the very very beginning of your running journey about that first mile that you ran where you were like, "Huh, I think I like this." Do you remember
Yeah.
like what it was about that first run that hooked you? Like what was the feeling? What
Oof.
changed for you when you went on that first run?
I got like almost an instant runner's high. Like I know what that
Cool.
run is because I still get it even now, but it's more sporadic. You need to work a little harder to actually get that runner's high
Yeah.
once you actually get into it. But I got that like right away. I just felt like I was just flying. But yeah, that feeling is undescribable. It's incredible. So
Yeah, totally agree. It's a hard one to put into words the first time.
yeah,
And I love how you said that, like you're 100% right that after that first runner's high, you do like have to be on kind of a longer run to experience it again. Like you got to settle in a little bit more, you got to push a little bit more, whatever it is, but you have like it isn't as accessible as it is the first time you get it. But I'm glad that you got that so early on and it hooked you. What do you feel like the run then I guess on the other side of the coin where you were starting to feel like the marathon was getting tough and you were maybe starting to doubt yourself a little bit like the first mile proved it to you that you liked running, but what was the mile or what was the run for you in marathon training where you were like, what did I get myself into?
so yeah, in the marathon training, I think it was like when I first did the 5K time trial. Oh my God, that was so hard because it's not like it's a coach. It's an app. That the app just basically tells you, okay, you're running a 5K, and it bases the pace on almost nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to base the pace on. So I'm just like
Yeah.
turning it up, and I'm like, I can't stop. Like I'm in such a groove, and I'm like, and then I was just wiped at the end of it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do this. Like, is this
Yeah.
what it really is? I don't know if I could do it. And that was a few weeks into training, but I pushed past that. But that was the
Yeah.
first doubt that I had. Like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, I don't know how my sister did it 4 times. Like, this is crazy.
I think sometimes, it's kind of, I guess, kind of a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, I think that that's a really great point with some of these running apps that, and I've had this experience too, for sure, especially when I was earlier on with these apps, that they are like a one size fit all sort of situation. And of course, like hiring a coach for your first marathon is not always accessible for everybody. So there is some benefit to the apps, but I 100% know what you're talking about how they don't really adapt to where you're at. They kind of just make like an educated guess on where it thinks that you can go, but it's really not based on your own performance or like where you're at in your running journey or how new you are, how experienced you are. It's just like this is generally what works for people. And I remember when I was going through my injury, it was a lot of because of the a plan or something pushing me to do a lot of speed work or do too much too quickly or having me hit paces that I wasn't quite there on. It sounds like that was the experience for you too. Is that right?
Yeah, so that was like really in the beginning. That was sort of like in
Yeah.
the beginning stages of it. But like obviously after I got that IT band injury, that crushed me. I was like,
Sure.
I don't know. I really don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this. Like I worked, and it was only, I mean, it was like a 17-week build,
Yeah.
from nothing, no base, 17 weeks. Like I should have had like 24 weeks minimum,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, 6 months or something. But, so that injury really, really crushed me, and I didn't know if I could do it. But I'm like, at that point, I had changed my life around in such a dramatic way that I'm like, I don't care. I am doing this. I am finishing this.
Yes.
I was a changed person. Running literally changed me overnight.
What do
Wild
you feel
stuff.
when do you feel like the marathon, so like yeah, I guess the other side of training. So when you're proving to yourself that you can push through these harder efforts and you can tackle these bigger runs and these harder runs, like what do you feel like you were proving to yourself during that time?
So yeah, I was proving to myself, first of all, that I could do hard things, and like not
Yeah.
just hard things, like crazy hard things, like things that I never imagined in my wildest dreams. Like I really proved that to myself, and I changed a lot of other things in my life as well. I started going to school. I'm like, after a full career of just a regular full-time job, I have kids, I have a life, and all this kind of stuff. I thought that this was going to be my life, like that. I'm just going to go to work every day. I'm going to come home and it's just going to be the same thing. And I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. I changed myself to think that there's so much more to life than just, what you have in front of you. You have to be able to think big, think long, and realize that we are that. Well, me, I'm personally, I am very capable of hard things, and everybody else is, of course, as well in their own way. And don't doubt yourself, because it's a journey, but it's so rewarding, and there's so much more to life. And once you do it, once you just sign up and do it, you prove that to yourself, and you just keep going.
Yeah. That's great. Running really does impact so much more of your life than you think it is. It's like you put on shoes for the first time and you know you're going to tackle something hard. Like I think most people can wrap their heads around the fact that training for a marathon is going to be hard, but I don't think you quite realize like what you find along the journey, like you said, and how many other aspects of your life that running is going to end up impacting more than just your physical health. It's like I felt the same way. It changed the way that I think about my relationships and the way I show up for the people in my life, and made the life choices that you make feel a lot smaller because you've done this like big hard thing. So that's really incredible that you were able to experience that for your first marathon. I love that.
Yeah.
How did you take that energy that you were starting to feel like this through training and like use it to carry you through to the end? You said that like the 17-mile run is where things started to click. So I guess how did that carry you through to the end?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. I literally, I don't, it was a blur. I do not know how I got through it. I don't even know how I ran another mile after that. The pain was
Mm-hmm.
so intense. And the mental strain that it put on me was crushing. It would really, really crush me. But I was so determined to get it done, to see it through, and I did not want to cancel the race. I did not want to do that. I'm like, I made it this far. There was some strength training, but again, like in the app, it's bare bones. It's like it's hard to navigate it. You have to watch videos of each exercise that they tell you to do. Strength training. After I went to the PT, I got some exercises to do. Those helped. Strengthen the hips and the glutes and things like that. So that did help. But it came so late in the game that it was really hard you know, to actually make a noticeable difference. But I did rest enough that it felt good enough to run 4 miles here, 5 miles there, and I was able to push it until the end, and I got it done. So that took me up, until the marathon, and obviously the week before I did almost nothing.
Yeah. How were you feeling that week that you were doing nothing? That sounds like taper, but times a million because you weren't actually able to run, like period. So yeah, how were you? Were you going crazy? Like what were the thoughts that were going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, yeah. So I heard all about the taper crazies.
Yeah,
I did not experience that in the same way that most people do, because I had to start tapering a lot earlier.
yeah,
So my taper started as soon as I felt that pain in my leg, which was about 4 weeks out. I would have gone into the taper 2 weeks after that. So yeah, it didn't affect me in the same way. I was just like, no matter what, I am I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take this all the way to the end. I'm fit enough. I had to have a trainer at the gym, and I talked to him, and he's a runner also. He runs these crazy Spartan races and all these like trail races and all these things. Um, but so he's a different kind of runner, but he basically gave me he gave me the energy, and he gave me the confidence that I can do it even if I'm, not running, crazy miles. I just knew it. I just knew it. No matter what, I'm doing this.
How was the injury feeling as you got closer to race day, since you were able to take some time off?
Yeah. So honestly, I felt really good about it. I did not
Nice.
have that
That's good.
same pain. I rested enough that, I was able to get to the starting line with no pain. It felt, iffy, but no
Sure.
pain.
I know the feeling. It's like it's uncomfortable. Something feels like a little off, but it's not going to take you out. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it
Yeah, yeah.
was.
Well, cool. That's good. So you were feeling decent. It's decent as you can for all things considered and everything that happened to you for that training block. And you mentioned that you started. I think you said that 17-mile run or somewhere around there was where fueling started to like really catch up to you. What did you adjust? Did you adjust? Like what was the plan going into race day for fueling?
So the idea would be that I would carry some gels with me. I'm gonna obviously do the carb load, which I did. I didn't measure how many grams of carbs. I just stuffed my face with whatever I could find. I went to Trader Joe's over there in Philly, and I loaded up on bagels. I did all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I wasn't into like electrolytes then. Like it wasn't at that part of my journey.
Sure.
I was realizing that fueling is extremely important, so I tried to just stuff my face with as much as possible. And I knew they would have, I think they had Gatorade along the way. So I knew that they would have that. So I was basically relying on that plus the gels.
Did you? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you knew what was going to be on the course, which is always helpful. I guess we can kind of break down race day from there, since we're there. So we'll start with the start line. What were the nerves like? How were you excited? Like, what was the start line energy like for you?
Oh my God. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Uh, yeah, it was crazy energy. I live about 2 hours away from Philly, so we just drove in there. I stayed there the whole weekend. We got a hotel downtown, about a mile from the start line. Everything was very convenient. It was easy to get to. There was a bus that I just took from basically right outside my hotel. So Sunday morning, gonna say around like about 5 o'clock. And we got there early. I got through security. Everything was smooth. It was really, really well run, like any decent sized race usually is. What would I know? I only did one, but whatever.
I've heard really amazing things about Philly. I've actually heard people talk about it like it's a world major feel, but not world major logistics. So it seems like it's more massive than a lot of these like city runs that I hear about that aren't world majors.
Yeah, I mean, it felt massive. Like there was
Yeah,
just people everywhere. It was crazy.
totally.
Yeah, so I got through security. No problems with that. I just went, and the lines for the porta potties weren't too long at that point, so I made sure to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
I went into There's a big tent. It was freezing because it's like the end of November. They had a tent with heating, and there were just people sitting all over the place, and basically just like sat there for a good hour. Eventually, I just got restless, and I got up. I went out. I went to the museum steps over there, the Rocky Steps, took some
yeah, cool.
pictures, and I was just like stretching, trying to stay loose, trying to, just get a feel for how things are gonna go. And the energy was just like electric. Everybody there was just like amped up. And eventually it started getting lighter. The day, was dawning finally, and I was just really getting excited. I headed to my corral. Once I was in the corral, yeah, so there I was just standing at the start line, not knowing what I was really getting myself into. But I was like, all my thoughts were running through my head. I was like, everything I did up until now, all the injury and all the just the just everything I did is all coming to this point. And it was just a very solemn but exciting at the same time. It was just like, okay, this is what I worked for. Let's do this.
Yeah, you just kind of give in. You give in to the experience, like
That's it.
whatever happens, happens, and then you go.
Total
Well,
surrender.
cool.
Yeah. That's it.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. Well, sweet. Well, let's break down the race. So I always say like let's maybe start with the first half, but I'll let you break it down in whatever pieces you want to break it down, depending on like what happened during the race. But let's talk about the charted territory. How was the first like half marathon?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I felt good. It was, the beginning is it's a beautiful, like you're by the Rocky Steps and the Museum of Art over there, and um, miles 1 and 2, you're just like running down. I think it's Benjamin Franklin Parkway. Like I'm not that familiar with Philly, but like I sort of know. So you pass by City Hall. My hotel was like maybe a mile from there, and my wife was standing on the side. She was near the hotel, so I passed her and I heard her yelling my name. So I peeled off my sweater, I threw it to her, and that was it. So I took off. We entered like the old city, Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, like all that stuff. It was really cool
So
to like
cool.
run past that. I was feeling really good, There was like cobblestones, you have to watch your step over there.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
and then you sort of like loop towards like the downtown, like the South Street area. It's a very like there's a lot of bars and shops over there. Then we got to. I mean, obviously, I'm still feeling really good. I'm still amped up. Obviously, it's only mile 3 or 4. Mile 4 to 6, you're sort of in the university areas, UPenn and Drexel, and the energy there is like crazy. Like all the college students come out and they're all
Yeah.
partying out there. Super, super high energy over there. So I was like
So
really
cool.
pumped, and I was trying to like keep myself,
Yeah, try to keep the
steady.
adrenaline down.
I'm like, if I run too fast, I'm gonna hurt myself. I want to get through most of the race before I start feeling it. I knew I was gonna start feeling it, so it was always in the back of my mind, So it sort of messed with my head a little bit, But I was like, as long as I'm feeling good, I'm going, pushing through it.
Yeah.
So mile 6 and 7, as well. I think that's also through the UPenn campus. So the first real hill is around where the zoo is, I think. It's like a little
Hmm.
after the zoo. And it's still in the beginning of the race, so it wasn't so bad, but it's a pretty good hill over there. But again, I was still feeling pretty good. I had music. I put music in one of my ears. And then I couldn't find my other earbud, so I was just basically had that one earbud in my ear, and I was listening to the crowd, screaming, from the other ear. So I was like sort of getting both of those. I
Yeah.
wanted to try to keep it like to feel as if I was training because that's where I was comfortable, like I feel comfortable if I'm training. So whatever I was doing when I was training, I was trying to keep it, the same.
Smart.
Then, like miles 8 to 10, we get to this park, and it's in November, so I'm sure it's beautiful park, like in the summer and the spring.
Yeah, with the
But in
when the trees are
November,
not dead.
it's just everything. There's leaves, and it's just like it's desolate. There's nobody in the
Yeah.
park. There, like it's very, very few people, so there's no energy there. Everything is dead, and I started to slightly feel my IT band syndrome
Mm.
flaring up, slightly,
You
slightly.
said this was like mile 8?
Yeah, it's about mile 8 to 10. I could be
Mm.
a little off. I don't remember exactly every single mile,
Sure.
like where it was, what I was doing. But at that point, there was also you could see people already coming back because it's like it's an out and back course, but there was people coming back, but and then the people coming back, it was really cool, and it gave me a bit more energy because all those people were like going, yeah, you can do this, you can do this. Everybody's like, there's like a barrier in the middle, so people were just like sticking out their hands and slapping everybody five and like giving that energy back. So that was really really nice. It got me through that part of it. So miles 10 and 11. Um, we come back down because it goes up and then it loops around and you go back down through the like there's like the river over there. We come back to Benjamin Franklin Parkway, um, past the art museum, but it's obviously I know I'm going to see you again at the end, but
Yeah, right.
and then we go up Kelly Drive. Kelly Drive is just this long parkway. It's
Mm.
beautiful. It's along the river. and there's lots of trees, but there's not a lot of people there. It's a very, I guess it's very hard to get to because the
Sure.
streets are all closed off. So any spectators that want to go there, they have to come by like bike or walk. That's
Mm.
pretty much the only way. So that's why there was probably not a lot of people over there. But, they still had the energy from the other runners going the other way. And I'm like, those guys are super fast. Like those guys are already
Yeah.
like, um, so I'm like, okay, fine. We got past that point. Um, Now this is where it got really hard because just after the half marathon point, I started feeling it. I really started feeling the pain in my outside my knee. I started feeling it. I'm like, okay, listen, I know, I know it's there. I knew it was going to happen. It's fine. We're going to get through this. We get to Manayunk. Manayunk is a small little town.
Yeah.
It's in Philly, but it's just like it has like this small town feel. Like there's just like it's just really, really cool. Crazy energy over there, like insane energy. Like there's people doing shots. They're offering shots to the runners, beers. I didn't take any of that, obviously. Nothing new on
Sounds
race
like a
day, they
party
say,
though.
right?
That's right.
It really was a party.
Yeah.
That was wild, wild, wild. I was not expecting that, not at all. Around mile 15, my phone went dead. I had no
Oh
music.
no.
So I was like, okay, listen, stuff happens. That's it. I took the earbud out of my ear, I put it in my pocket, and I just kept going. I got into Manayunk, and I'm happy, sort of that I didn't have the music in my ear because that energy was coming from all sides. So
Totally.
I really got into it, and I was like, okay, I think I could do this. I forgot about like all the pain, you know. And then there's this turnaround, it's just like this little loop at the end. It's in Manayunk, but that loop it's packed with people and crazy. There's like confetti flying in the air. People are
Wow.
screaming. People are screaming my name because I on my bib it had my name. So like, yeah, Asher, you got this, Asher. So that was awesome. But then once you hit that turnaround, and it's a very sharp turn. At that point in the race, it's mile 20. Once you pass that energy, you get back out of Manayunk and you do the turnaround. There's some hills, and it's late in the race already, and that's just not what you want.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Mile 20 to 23 is you return to Kelly Drive. Kelly Drive, you're just on the other side. You still have, that beautiful view of the water and everything, but there's no people there. So that's like the toughest part of the whole race is that 3 mile stretch, in my opinion.
Just
And
really
then 20,
unfortunate timing for the crowd support to not be there. I always feel
exactly,
like
the
there's
crowd
there's those little
support.
points where you're like, gosh, like I could really use something here.
Yeah, and I was really dragging myself. I was like
Sure.
I was dragging hard. And I was screaming at myself. I'm like, Audrey, you got this. You can do this. You can do this. Like you got this. You didn't come this far to DNF. You did not. You're not. This is not going to happen. And I hear people around me are doing the same thing. And some people like, this mother and daughter were like running, and the daughter is like dragging herself, and the mother is like screaming at her, "You could do this. You could do this." I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? I'm just gonna keep going. There's some small rolling hills. So you're running along Kelly Drive. It's starting to get a little windy. It is November. The leaves are flying around, and it's just it was horrible. It was like I was in pain. My feet hurt, and I was really, really pushing myself. My mind was detached from my body. Like it wasn't even real. So mile 23 to 25, it starts to get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm finishing this. I can finish this.
Yeah.
And then you get to that. There's like a turn from Kelly Drive back to like where all uh, the art museum. Like you're reapproaching that area. I stopped at every hydration stop. I took water. I took Gatorade. I was doing the gels. I ran out of gels at a certain point, but they had like these other like energy bars that I grabbed, and I was able to get one of those down at the end because I was out of gels. Um, it was windy. My legs were screaming. My feet were screaming. I was screaming at myself.
Yeah. Literally
And
screaming.
then, yeah, people are screaming my name. Like everybody's just
Yeah.
screaming. Like everything is screaming.
It's just
And
panic. Yeah.
yeah, it was insane. And then I saw my wife, and she was screaming my name. She was about at mile 25 and a half. She was on the side with all the other people screaming and yelling. And I was like, the emotion was just like, oh my God, it was overwhelming. I was getting so emotional. I saw my wife. She got a video of me. I turned around. I blew her some kisses, you know, and that's it. I dragged myself for the last mile. I crossed that finish line, and it was just the most amazing feeling. I sort of like looked in back of me. The first thing I did when I crossed the finish line is like put my hands to my head. It's like, oh my God, I cannot believe I just did that. I cannot believe I did. And then I just like I turned around, I looked behind me, I'm like, I cannot believe I just did that. Like it was just my mind was just reeling. But I did it. It was done. It was over. And then there's actually a picture of some, like one of the finish line photographers got that picture of me holding my head like this.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
yeah, so I bought that picture. That's the only picture that I bought. I don't usually, they're very expensive,
No,
but
that's a good one. Yeah, you should buy that one.
yeah,
That's a good
I
one.
was like, yeah. So that's what I did. I bought that picture. I kept it. And my phone was dead, so I didn't know how I was going to find my wife after that. So I'm just like hobbling, I'm just trying to keep myself moving. I found
Sure.
somebody that had a phone, and I tried calling my wife. I wasn't able to get a hold of her, but then there was like this area, um, at the end where the families meet up with the runners. So I found her right away. She knew exactly where. I don't even know. She's amazing. Like she was able to find her way with like there was 15,000 runners over there, and like 15,000 other people there, and somehow she was able to find me like the second I walked through the gate. And I just like I just started crying. Like I was just like overwhelmed. And she brought my UFOs. I don't know if you if you know about the UFOs, but they're
No, I don't.
incredible. They're these recovery shoes, and you
Oh,
feel
okay,
like
cool.
you're walking on clouds, and they're like they
Nice.
have this arch, and it like just like perfect support in every way, and it's just like has this squishy stuff, and it was really amazing. So she brought those. I changed, she brought me a protein shake, and we walked a mile back to the hotel.
Oh wow,
And
so you had to walk a mile after. It's kind of good though that to keep moving afterwards, so you don't get stiff. But I'm sure that wasn't your first
yeah,
choice to walk a
so
mile.
no, actually, that was part of my plan. I was
That,
I
oh,
was
okay,
like
good.
talking to people, and they said that do not sit down, do
Oh,
not
you
sit
have some
down.
good friends. You have good
Yeah.
friends.
So I listened to them. I walked that mile back to the hotel, even though it was windy and cold, and but we pushed it, and we got back there, and I pretty much headed back right away. Like we just jumped in the car, um, and headed back right away. We have I've had some cousins along the way, like in a suburb of Philly. So
Mm.
I never met them before, but she's just like she called them up, and she's like, "Hey, could we stop there on the way?" So on the way back, so they're like, "Yeah, sure." So we stopped there. They made me a whole meal. I took a
Oh, that's
shower.
great.
I changed. It was just the best feeling ever. I mean, I was in terrible pain, but it was just the best
Yeah.
feeling I ever had in my life. I was just buzzing for hours after that.
Yeah. That's incredible. I had chills when you were talking about your crossing the finish line and like having that moment. It's like no matter how many stories I hear on this show, like every moment is so individual. It's so like individually special to the person that it happens to. And like hearing you talk about it, I can feel the impact that this marathon had on you, which is just like incredible.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
when you cross the finish line, and I have asked this before, so I'm not sure if you've heard this question before, but um, like what did it mean to you to cross the finish line? Like it sounds like you were able to really feel the energy of the finish line, but like what did taking those last steps mean to you for that marathon?
Ugh. It meant like the world, like it was everything. Like I told you, when I was looking behind me, I looked in back of me, and the thought that was going through my head, I felt like I was leaving all the traumas of my past behind me. Like I just left it in those miles back there. Once I crossed that line, I was a different person. Like I'm different now. I'm doing this again. I don't care. I had this pain in my leg. I could barely walk. I Like I knew I had to eat. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to do anything. But I was like, I have to do this again because there's just nothing like that. There's nothing like that in my life that I would ever be able to replicate that feeling. And I really felt like I left all the troubles and traumas of my past in those 26.2 miles behind me.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. Well, cool. Well, I always love after these stories, I always love to ask for a piece of advice, pay it forward to our fellow runners who are at the beginning of their running journey or maybe sitting and looking at their first marathon journey and thinking like, how the heck am I going to tackle something like this? So if you could offer some advice to somebody who might be looking, to run their first marathon, what advice might you offer somebody like that?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing is just sign up. That's the first
Yeah.
thing that I can tell you. You sign up, you will be very surprised how that can motivate you to go and do it because you know that you signed up, you paid that money, you're gonna do it. Um, that's the first thing, and probably just as important, um, from strength training.
Yes.
There's nothing more important, in my opinion, than strength training. You have to be able, your body has to be able to support you through those miles. And if you're not ready for it, you're not strong enough, you'll get hurt. Simple
Yeah.
as that. I'm living, breathing proof.
It's funny. I just put out a mini episode. I've been doing these little like mini episodes in between the guest episodes. I just put one out on Wednesday where I went back through like all 80 episodes and I listened to that question and listened to the advice that people gave. And the number one and number two pieces of advice were do it, like just do it, sign up, let's do the thing, and strength training. So I'm sure people are gonna love to hear that, but
Ah,
strength
that's
training
great.
is it's huge. Yeah, it's huge. And it keeps
And
coming
I
up on
love
the
your
show.
mini
So
episode. Sorry.
oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, they're pretty new, but I'm having a lot of fun with them. But
Yeah.
yeah, the strength training aspect and signing up like comes up over and over and over again on the show. So just another example of take the first step. Believe in yourself that you're going to figure it out all the way, but take the first step to sign up for the race and commit to it, and then dedicate yourself to doing some of those strength training things. Because I don't know about you, but what I talked about on the mini episode was like, so I hear a lot of runners that say I didn't feel like enough of a runner, or I didn't like think I was
Mhm.
enough of a runner in the beginning to do the research to figure out how to strength train, or I felt like I needed to earn strength training or something like that. Like you
Yeah.
don't need to. You like start early, start as soon as you can. I think like you said, you're living proof of the payoffs of something like that for your first marathon.
Yeah. That's the imposter syndrome you're talking about. And you talked about it on
Totally.
some of your stuff as well. The imposter
Totally.
syndrome is strong. It's strong. It gets strong sometimes. Even now, I still get
Yes.
the imposter syndrome sometimes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Just if you run, you're a runner. Go out and do it. Do
Yeah.
what you can.
You can do it. You can do it. I believe in you.
Absolutely. Well, cool. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about Chicago. What we'll probably do is wrap up here with the guest episode, talk a little bit about what you're doing for your next race that's coming up, and then we'll pivot over to the bonus episode and talk a little bit more in detail about Chicago as well. But do you want to talk about how you chose Chicago? I know you're running for charity. You want to talk about the charity and how you chose it, and how we got to that race and what you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. So at first I wanted to do New York because that's my hometown.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to get into. There's a few organizations in New York that are very near and dear to my heart, but they wanted me to raise like $7,000 or something ridiculous. And I love the organization and I love New York, but there's no way I was going to be able to do that with my schedule. So I chose Chicago because I have family over there. My sister lives there with all her kids, big, big family there. Um, and I thought it would be just a really cool. I heard amazing things about the course, and it's a flat, fast course. That's all I heard. And then I chose the lupus charity, lupus research, the lupus charity runners. My wife has a friend who is suffering from lupus. It's a horrible, horrible disease. She basically lost her whole entire career overnight. She's a photographer. She was a really good photographer,
Mm,
and all of a sudden she could barely see anymore. Everything was like dark for her, and she has to
mm,
basically live in the dark. Like any bright lights, and she has pains, and she has all sorts of just immune system issues, and she's always sick, and it's just
yeah.
horrible to see. to see that, and she's like a mother and a grandmother, and so I said, like, I'm gonna run the Chicago Marathon for you, so that's what I did. So I was looking for that organization. I was happy to find the lupus organization, and they took me right away. It wasn't $7,000. I had to raise, I think, 2,300.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm mostly there, so I don't really have to worry about that at this point. But it's a great organization, and it's a great cause. It's a terrible, terrible
Yeah.
disease, and most people don't know about it. Cancer, everybody knows about cancer. It's like they're all amazing causes, but like sometimes those other causes sort of get not as much press. And this
Sure.
is one of those. So I wanted to choose something like that that's smaller, that could have a big impact.
I love that. That's great. Well, so definitely, if you remember, send me your link to your charity, and I'll make sure that I put it in the show notes so people can donate and support you. But
Cool.
I love that you chose something close to you. I think that that's really important. What are you changing for Chicago? Like, what are you looking forward to? What's changing in your training? Like, how's everything going so far? I'm training for Chicago as well. I know most people on the show know that, but so we're in it together. We're getting to the hard
Yeah,
parts.
yeah, I do know that. That's why I was like so excited. I was like, and then one of your shows, I remember hearing you say it, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. So that's what sort of like got me
Oh, so cool.
to go on the website and see if I can get on the show.
Love that.
So as far as it's a complete turnaround. I ran the Brooklyn half in in April, at the end of April, Brooklyn Half Marathon by NYC Runs, and I ran a 1:47, and I felt amazing. I could have kept running. Like it was
That's
just
awesome.
like I have no problems. I changed completely, like a complete 180. I'm doing lots and lots of strength training. I'm in the gym all the time now, like almost every day. I'm running and I'm strength training, upper, lower, every body part that you could imagine. I'm
Yeah.
training it, so I'm much, much stronger now. I'm running much faster. I have no pain following a plan. It's a Fleet Feet. It's paid for by the lupus charity runners,
Sure.
and I have an actual person on the other. It's a virtual, but because I'm not in Chicago, it's in person. But since I'm not in Chicago, it's virtual. So, but I have access to the coach or the coaches, and they made me an amazing plan, um, and I'm killing it.
Love it. Love to hear that. Yeah, especially coming off an injury. I know how amazing it can feel those first couple runs where you go out and you don't feel the pain. You're like, thank God, like I
Oh,
can
it's so
finally just
good.
run.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Such a good
running 18
feeling.
miles tomorrow, and
Nice.
I'm not even worried about it. I know that I'm just going to run and I'm going to finish, and I'm recovered literally within 6 hours. I feel like
Love
I'm
it.
totally fine.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, excited to see you wrap up training here. We're getting pretty close. I think we're 2, 3 weeks out. I mean, oh no, I guess we're a little over a month out at this point, but we're getting close.
Yeah,
Um, excited to see you wrap up training. Excited to see how Chicago goes. I think we'll wrap up with some fun questions here. I always
cool.
give the disclaimer we're going to talk about fuel and shoes. That with
Yeah,
fuel, it's your own body. Try everything and anything. It's everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different. Same thing with shoes. Go to a local shoe store, get your feet measured, figure out what's best for you. But for
yep.
you, what have you like for fuel over time?
So fuel right now, for my long runs especially, I'm doing that scratch high carb mix,
Oh, I love it.
super
Yeah,
high
that's my
carb.
favorite. Hmm.
I think it's like what it's like 100 grams of carbs or something,
Yeah.
or for
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
whatever it's that's worked really well for me. Like
Cool.
that's taken me to the next level. Um, and along the way, the Mortons, the gels are fantastic. Um, that's pretty much it. I have some graham crackers before I go out. However many carbs I can get in like comfortably.
Yeah.
That's what I go with.
Cool. Nice. The scratch high carb mix is like definitely it's in my top two probably. I love that one. It's such a good
Game
one.
changer, Taylor. Game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Cool. And then what about shoes? What do you like for shoes?
So shoes, my first pair of shoes was a pair of Hoka's. I'm not crazy about, didn't work for me that well. I went through
Hmm.
a couple different Hoka's. Right now, I am doing the Saucony's. I
Cool.
have the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, have been really, really good for me. Um, and I got a new pair of shoes for Chicago. That's going to be the Pro 4, the newest Endorphin Pro from
Pro.
Saucony.
Cool.
Um, and for my long runs, now I went back to Brooks Ghost. I
Cool.
was
Yeah,
using
yeah. I
those for a
used
little
those for a
while, but
long time.
the Brooks Ghost Max has been a real, real game changer for me in just these last few weeks. And I'm like, how was I not doing this whole time? Like they're
Yeah.
soft and they're bouncy and they're cushiony and they keep my feet from hurting.
Can't ask for anything better than that. Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Well, awesome. Well, thanks again for sharing your story. Like I said, if you want to send me over your charity information, I'll link that for sure. And if anybody wants to follow along with you on like socials or follow along with your journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I'm not like a big poster, but I recently started getting into what I wanted to document my journey a little bit to the Chicago Marathon. So it's Asher Runs on Instagram. Asher, Asher runs.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'll link that as well. For our regular listeners, we're going to wrap up here, but we're going to keep talking a little bit more about Chicago on the exclusive episode. So that's myfirstmarathon.co/exclusive. So if you want to join us there, pop over there. But for our regular listeners, Asher, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the My First Marathon podcast. For more stories, tips, and resources, head to myfirstmarathonpodcast.com. And if you want access to bonus episodes, exclusive resources, and extra support for your training, make sure you check out the community at myfirstmarathonpodcast.com/exclusives. You can also follow along with us on socials, Instagram and TikTok. That's at myfirstmarathonpod. If you want to follow along with my personal journey, that's at tay.says. Whether you're training, recovering, or just thinking about signing up, you belong here. I'm so excited that you're here, and we'll see you on the next one.